Rule 11, don't bother children when they are skateboarding. Part of this is don't over shelter your children. Letting your kids get a dose of life always allows them to handle their own fear and learn from pain and fear. If you want to encourage your kids, it's better for you to encourage your kids than to shelter them. Encouragement is what he talks about in this whole thing. It's another like parenting one, where it's not necessarily pushing your kids in a specific direction, but it's like if you at least encourage them and don't shelter them and hide them from the world, it allows them to understand how the world really works and allows them to be more dependent, hopefully, when they grow up. So it's one of the things he talks about is that like reality, like the world in general, is a very hard place, but they might not be able to take on the world if you don't allow them to go do stuff. And skateboarding is the example. By going and skateboarding and being in the real world and overcoming challenges and pain and fear and doing things that they're scared of or not knowing what to do or how to do it, and just having to realize that the only way to do it is to keep doing it until you get it right over and over again. And some things, I've never skateboarded. Maybe I should have, but I've seen that. Like it's a process that allowing that just makes your child more adapt to taking on the world, because they've already dealt with small challenges as a child that even challenges for a kid can be monumental, although to an adult might seem like nothing. It at least develops them and allows them to learn to then better handle situations as an adult. Children need to voluntarily expose themselves to risks. This allows them to grow and become independent. And he says, do not do anything for anyone that they can do for themselves. And that's something that's a rule in like nursing homes, because that's very true. If you start doing things that someone else can do for themselves, you're taking something away from them. You're taking away part of their life and their being and stuff that they can do. And it's kind of the same thing as if you baby a kid. If you don't allow a child to learn and do stuff that they are 100% capable of, they're not able to even learn their own abilities. Because, yeah, there's some stuff they might not be able to do, but they got to figure that out on their own. You can't keep them from the world, because if you do that at a young age, it's going to set them up for a very difficult existence later on in life. I guess rule 12, the final rule. Pet a cat when you encounter one on the street. And I guess the biggest thing for this and the stuff he'd use this for was basically with his own situations with his daughter and having to deal with surgery at a young age and deal with certain things. If you read the book, you'll learn about that. I'm not going to go into that necessarily. A part of it is just to learn to basically be present in the moment, appreciate the little things. And in the way he says that is basically like when the world is out of control because of possible personal suffering or death in the family or stuff going on with work or just crisis in your own personal life, it's good to be able to appreciate things that you can manifest itself to be appreciated. If you don't appreciate the small things that come up and kind of set yourself in the present moment, it can raise your spirits and it can just allow you to keep pushing. So in the sense of your world might be crazy and chaotic, but if you're able to pet that dog or cat or whatever on the street and enjoy that moment of bliss and joy, it's going to help you. Like you can't always live in the future, the past, or anything along those lines. And I know that's something I've dealt with personally as well, where I feel like when I was in high school, I didn't live in the moment much, where now I try to do that a lot more than I used to, 100%. And just to be there and take in what's around me and be with the people I love and family and friends, and just kind of enjoy the time in that moment and not necessarily be thinking about things in the future when it comes to work or personal stuff or living in the past. You got to be able to take what you have and live with it and kind of learn from it and appreciate what you do have. You got to be grateful for where you are and hope that eventually it will work its way into something better. And it's something that I think everybody struggles with at times, and you just got to learn to slowly but surely get better at it. And you got to recognize it in yourself and be self-aware to make those changes. And I feel like that's where this book is grateful, because it kind of calls people out on their own shit at one point with certain things. And it kind of makes you open your eyes and realize, where in my life am I lacking? Where could I be doing better to actually do the things I want? And that's kind of some of the main things I took out of it. These rules are amazing, and it can help set up an amazing foundation for, I feel like, a more enjoyable or a more fulfilling life. And I definitely encourage anyone to read this, because it was fascinating, and I can't wait to read, I guess, the sequel, and I will probably talk about it whenever I do read it. But I do hope you guys have enjoyed this. Hopefully I didn't go on too many rants. I hope that you were actually able to take some of this information from this podcast and put it into your own life. Or I hope that this podcast at least encouraged you to go out and read this book on your own, to get the full in-depth story and breakdown of the book.